What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Real Talk video. I pray y'all are doing well as we give the Most High all the honor, the glory, and all the praise and worship. This is part two. Um, my title says Food That Was Sacrificed to Idols. I got good responses back on part one. Part one, I had a good question on what I think about vegans. So if you saw part one, then this is a little quick part two video, and I want to title it once again because somebody inboxed me about what was the issue with the meat. So from studying, we know that there was food. Let me just say meat, especially meat. There was meat that was sacrificed to idols, And as I said in part one, it wasn't just Jews in the Bible. You had Gentiles. And Gentiles, they ate different than the Jews did. You know, that's the struggles that they was having back then. Okay, my brothers and sisters in the new covenant. Because once again, there was meat being sacrificed, to idols. We can say idol worship. So the Gentiles started joining up with the Jews because we know that there come a time when they were starting to, you know, we could say like get converted, like as the Bible say, Gentiles are crafted in. But with that going on, they had an issue with the meat because let's go back to the Roman society. We know that in the Roman society, it had a lot of idol worship going on, y'all, a lot. So what happened with the meat back then, they were selling meat, you know, that was consecrated as a sacrifice to false gods, idol worship. So Israel being set apart and holy, they didn't like that. The Jews was not going to eat. They wasn't going to eat that meat no way. Because first of all, they already knew what the dietary law was. I did an old video called We Should Stick to the Dietary Law. There's nothing wrong with it. But they wasn't going to play no part of eating that same stuff that the Gentiles were eating. So it became confusion, we could say. It became a little conflict, because they wasn't agreeing on that. And that's why Paul wrote what he, wrote. So Jews, once again, real Jews, let me say it like that, are going to always stick to, go back to Genesis, what to eat and what not to eat, you know. But a lot of the Gentiles, they didn't see the idol worship. They didn't see it. They was like, okay, well, we can still eat this. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Kind of like nowadays, let's just flip this and bring it in our days time. Just like I said in part one, how a lot of Christians, mostly Christians, will eat anything. They sit there and say they read that same book that you reading, but when you get to the part of talking about Genesis or going back to the dietary law and what to eat or how Israel was, they're not going to line themselves up with Israel. First of all, I got to make a great point here. There is too many preachers that teach their congregation in our race that we are Gentiles, and we are not. I disagree with that, and I don't care what kind of doctrine you got, what kind of degree you got, how long you've been teaching, and what school, seminary school you came out of. If you don't know who you are, then you definitely ain't going to know what to eat. If you don't know who you serve and what you serve, how you going to follow that way? That's why I hate to say this about Christianity, and I love them, but so many Christians, they follow down the wrong path because they've been taught so wrong. There is nothing wrong with following the dietary law. You know, we should all be treating our bodies right. Because like I said in part one, your health is your wealth. If you're not healthy, you're not able to do nothing. And then you look at some people don't even understand is what you put in your system because of all the chemicals that's in it. It affects the way you act. The food ain't been the same probably since the early 80s. I'm going to say longer than that. And if you stuck on junk food, it's really messing you up. Most of the things that you are eating in this daytime, it's got a lot of chemicals in it. Why would you say that, JT? Read your ingredients. Just look on the back and start reading stuff. And then when you gotta, set stuff in the freezer, or even like they say, the salad and the produce, ain't nothing the same no more because it gotta be preserved. So to sit stuff up, you gotta put some in it. That's why they always tell you stay away from processed meat. But most of us, if you're in my race, you was brought up on all that stuff. But just because you was brought up on something don't mean you have to stay on it. You know, we quick to say it costs too much money, man, to eat right. That's not necessarily true, man. There's so many things you can do, man. Just like I was talking about the avocados, man. You can cut back. A lot of people just don't want to cut back. They got a great bait going on. I think that was Harvard University back in the day. That was they was doing the research on is organic food really all that better than the regular food. And it was a deep conversation. I remember studying on that years ago, and they was to the point where they was saying organic ain't all that better like you think it is, because they was comparing and running all kind of tests and things. So I'm gonna just close out and say, like I said in part one, you use your spiritual discernment, and if you can, stick closely to the dietary law as possible. Because the fast food, as I said in part one, fast food and junk food will take you out of here quicker than anything now. That's almost like having bad dope because of all the side effects. So once again, it's each to their own. So I had a good question about doing this part two. That was why, because of the idol, they were sacrificing the idol. So they was concerned about that meat. If you keep studying, you'll see it in there. And they was having conflicts about that. So that's why, once again, even when you look at it on the physical body, that's why Peter said, I've never ate nothing unclean. See, the apostles, they had a different outlook on what those Gentiles was talking about. It was disagreements then, just like it's disagreements now. But like I say, Christianity, 9 times out of 10, they don't care about what the Bible say, and I mean this out of love. I'm not saying all of them, but if you're gonna continue to say you following the Bible we talking about here, and following the dietary law, and being real with yourself, then hey, you either gonna do it all the way or you ain't gonna do it at all. And once again, this is not to down nobody, what they doing, because you're gonna do what you want to do anyway. You're doing it anyway. I'm just bringing a little more insight on why. It's I tell people all the time, it's a reason, a very good reason. And it ain't so much of a reason, it's just the way it should be. Why the Most High laid it out there. Don't eat all that stuff that he said in Leviticus. Because it's some serious stuff. Nowadays, it's some serious hard up chemicals and steroids and most of the stuff that you see now and that you picking out in the store. So you just gotta, man, hey man, pray over your stuff, be careful. And like I say, shout out to the vegans. I had a couple of vegans hit me up in my email. Hey, I understand, and well said. There are a lot of times when I don't even eat meat. Me and my wife always talk about. Sometimes I just eat mushrooms. The good mushrooms that you can eat. I let that be my meat. I don't always have to have meat with everything I eat. I'll be telling my wife, you really think about it, I'm not far from a vegan because I love fruits and vegetables. But there are times when I have, my baked chicken, a rotisserie chicken. But like I said in part one, I try to stay away from ground beef and all that stuff, man, because I already know what it do to my body. I've seen it because of the way I used to eat back in the day. But like I say, man, probably about the last 10 years, I changed up a lot of stuff, especially when I went in the hospital in 2012. I wasn't even eating that bad anyway. At least I thought I wasn't, because I wasn't caught up on all that soda and stuff. And canned goods is another thing, man. Watch out for that sodium. I tell people all the time, if you do use a canned good, get the one with low sodium on there. But you got to think about it. Stuff sitting on the shelf, look at how long it sit up. And look at what's inside of it so it can sit up. Even I was telling my wife not too long ago. I said, look at the pack of these noodles, ramen noodles, and stuff. A lot of us was brought up on because when you was poor, hey man, you got what you could afford, and you stacked up on it. But you look at that one packet and look at how much sodium is off in there. Look at these canned goods and watch how much sodium is in there. Not just the canned goods. Look at the processed food, the meat and stuff that you get. Just look. Just start reading when you buy stuff. Don't just throw it in the basket. Start looking, and you should have a change of heart because all the time you buying this stuff, think about what it's doing all the time you eating it. That's my time, y'all. I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Shalom.